So, you're not sure what to bet? Don't worry, I got you covered for week 3 of the 2025 NFL season. Welcome, football fans, gridiron gamblers, and degenerates. It's Mitch here with my last minute must bets for week 3 of the NFL season. Before I get started with my favorite picks that I have yet to discuss, Gronk, spike the like button, show your love and support. And if you want this to become a weekly video, that's the best way I know is by liking the video. Also, subscribe to the new NFL betting channel, Money Mitch. My goal is to help you make some money betting on the NFL. So let's do that in this video. The plan is, I've already discussed my 5 favorite spread picks for the week. I'm not going to dive into spreads in this video in particular. I'm going to focus on totals, and I'm going to focus on player props for week 3. And you can decide which ones you like, okay? So let's kick it off with the first total that I'll be betting. I'm going to let you know right now. And if you want to know everything I'm betting, Patreon is the place to go. Link in the description, pinned comment, $5 a month for all my bets. But I will give you this one for free. I like the under on Sunday Night Football. I like the under 45 with the Giants and the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs simply can't score points. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. It doesn't take a football genius to understand that the Chiefs are completely overrated offensively because they have a man named Patrick Mahomes, who for some reason everyone still believes is the best quarterback in football when he hasn't been the best quarterback for 2 damn years. But don't let me go on a tangent, okay? Facing a Giants defense that has played 2 of the best offenses in football. Washington was a top 10 offense last year, and they actually held their own on the scoreboard. And last week, they played Dallas. This year, I think will be finishing as a top 5 offense the way they look with CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson. Dak looks in MVP form. Javante's giving him a spark in the backfield. The O-line solid. Dallas is light years better on offense than the Chiefs. There's no question. The Chiefs are one-dimensional. They have 0 running game. Right now, their leading rusher is Patrick Mahomes. And it's not like he's 04 Vic or 2019 Lamar Jackson or 2015 Cam Newton. This guy is not an all-time rusher of the football, okay? He does it on third down every once in a while, but it's not like he should be the leading rusher. You know what I'm saying? So the Chiefs are completely one-dimensional. Their offensive line, because they're one-dimensional, gets exposed. Their new guard, their second-year guard, who has replaced Joe Thuney at left guard, can barely pick up a stunt or a blitz. Kingsley. I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name. You guys can do that yourselves. But Zach Bond was beating him all day last week. I could see that being a problem against this Giants front. Imagine the creativity they could have with athletes like Abdul Carter and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm really excited to see that matchup and how they go about trying to single up that player, right? You can really expose that weakness. There's another weakness on the offensive line for the Chiefs. His name is Jawan Taylor. Now that the NFL is up to his antics with him jumping off sides and false starting every damn play, they won't allow him to do it anymore, which means he just sucks. Like, he can't get the jump, and everyone's beating him around the corner. Then you have to get 4 hands on Mr. Dexter Lawrence, because if you don't, he's going to bull rush you into the quarterback's lap, and that basically takes away 2 of the better offensive linemen for the Chiefs when you're talking Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, borderline all-pros. So if they're paying all their attention to Dexter Lawrence, you're leaving mismatches against a rookie left tackle, a bad right tackle, a bad left guard for one of the best pass rushes in football. And I thought Dak did an incredible job of managing the pocket last week. I don't see that happening with the lack of separation from the receiving core from Kansas City. They don't have CeeDee Lamb. They don't have Terry McLaurin. They don't have a Deebo Samuel. They don't have these weapons that the Giants have faced, George Pickens, right? Even a speedster like Kavonte Turpin. They don't have anything. Hollywood Brown is a third receiver. Travis Kelce is slower than me. And what do they have? I mean, Tyquan Thornton's a one-trick deep threat, and Juju stinks. Like, really, Their offense is atrocious. So if the Chiefs move the ball, it will be because Mahomes makes magic. It will be because Andy Reid schemes it up all day long. They dink and dunk and dink and dunk and maybe occasionally add the running game in there with Isaiah Pacheco, but they have been unwilling to run the ball. And if they do drop back and throw the ball and they can't run the ball, this is an absolute formula for an under because they're going to be under duress because they can't block this front of the Giants. I don't think the Giants secondary will have as many problems with the Chiefs as they did with the Cowboys and the Commanders. And I don't think Jaden Daniels, from his element of running is like Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think there's that multi-dimensionality of the run game that the Commanders offered that kind of got the Giants on their toes or kept them on their toes. So I just don't think the Chiefs are really going to be putting up a ton of points. And so how do they win this game? If they're 6.5-point favorites, how does that go down? 6-point favorites. Well, it's going to go down by them playing good defense. And yeah, the Giants put up 450 passing yards. Russell Wilson was spectacular. They went, deep threat down the field, moon balls all day. And yeah, that worked against Dallas. But Dallas had a lot of communication errors. I don't see that happening with the Steve Spagnuolo defense. I don't see that happening with this secondary. As much as the Chiefs did struggle against the Chargers, I feel like Trent McDuffie is going to be one of the better matchups in football for Malik Neighbors because he can play inside, outside, he's quick, he's fast. So if they want to put him on Neighbors, I feel like they could do that. And then if the Giants are more so centered around, okay, Neighbors is limited, the Giants don't really know what to do from there. Like they spam Wan'Dale Robinson underneath. They maybe occasionally hit a deep ball to Darius Slayton. We've seen Russ, though. Like, Russ is up and down. He's inconsistent. Besides last week, this guy was putting up an average of under 20 points per game over his last 6 starts. So it's not like he's been potent. It's just that one outing against a miscommunicating Dallas Cowboys secondary without Deron Bland. The Chiefs looked better on defense last week. They do have Chris Jones to get that penetration up the middle. Spags always has creative blitzes. And Russ tends to hold the ball, and Russ tends to play conservative, which means lower scoring games. The Giants don't have a good running game, and the Chiefs are good at stopping the run. I do believe the Giants keep this close, and they might hit the occasional big play, but I don't necessarily feel like this game is going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be tight, a grinder, kind of ugly. So I like the under 45. I don't see how this game, even a 24-20 result by the Chiefs, would be an under. I don't see this where it's in the upper 20s. It just doesn't make sense to me in my mind. So this is a giveaway. That's actually a play we have on Patreon. Under 45, Giants, Chiefs, okay? Now let's look at some of the other totals that I do like this week. First, we have the over in Atlanta, Carolina, 43.5. The last time these two teams played, 44-38 was the final result. 44-38. One team scored more points than this game's total. I'm just going to throw that out there, okay? And this is still the same coaching staffs on either side. And this is still the same quarterbacks on either side. Now, Carolina does have some injury problems on the offensive line, but luckily it's not at tackle. It is in the interior. And what we've seen so far is Atlanta has been very, very good at rushing the edge, and Atlanta's defense looks good. So there is a little concern there, but they are missing their number one corner, A.J. Terrell. And if there is one potential game-breaking threat in this game for Carolina, it is Tetairoa McMillan, their rookie receiver who looks fantastic. I saw him in person last week. He's the real deal. So I expect him to have a big game. I'd also expect on the flip side for Drake London to get going here. He had a massive game. I think he had nearly 200 yards against Carolina in that game last year. Bijan Robinson is facing one of the worst rushing defenses in football, and he looks like the best back in the league right now. The way he was able to run, cut, move, wiggle against the Vikings last week for like nearly 150 yards, and the Vikings are good against the run. Carolina traditionally terrible against the run. So I think Atlanta's offense has their best day of the season so far. They have all their weapons. Kyle Pitts working the middle. Darnell Mooney, a very solid number 2. They have Drake London, who's motivated. I think Penix feels comfortable against the easiest, most delicate pass rush and least complicated scheme he's played so far. If you're looking at it, right? He's played Todd Bowles and Brian Flores, two incredibly smart coordinators against really young quarterbacks because they like to blitz. And they like to send creative, weird blitzes that don't fundamentally make a lot of sense sometimes, but they'll just like drop random guys, send random guys. So I think that does confuse a young quarterback like Penix. Now against more of a traditional coverage-oriented defense, I think he'll be able to pick it apart. I think he'll have time. And I like overall what I've seen from him. And like I said, he can lean on Bijan, who should have 100 yards in this game quite easily. Algiers look pretty good too. So Carolina's defense is atrocious. Last week, that the game, between the Cardinals and the Panthers also gives me faith from the standpoint of if the Falcons get a lead, I feel like the Panthers can pursue back. They're also at home here for the first time this year. They lost 2 games on the road and looked pretty bad early in games on the road, unprepared. I think at home, it certainly helps the offense. It helps the offensive line. Like I said, I think McMillan has a big game. We're seeing the rapport grow between Bryce and Renfro in the middle. I'm hoping they phase out Leggett a little bit more because he's literally been the worst receiver in football. And the Panthers don't have a bad running game led by Hubbard. So this is just 2 teams that I feel like offense is their game. Offense is their bread and butter overall, and that's what we thought entering the year, and it's only a 43.5 total. So I understand you're betting on Bryce Young against a on-the-rise defense of the Falcons, but I just think this total is too low, especially considering last year how these 2 teams played against each other. So that's our second total of the video. Minnesota-Cincinnati. This is a really interesting game. 41.5 feels very low for this game. I understand that Carson Wentz is one of the starting quarterbacks and the other is Jake Browning. And maybe because of that, a lot of money will be bet on the under because it's 2 backup quarterbacks. But let's just put it into context real quick. Jake Browning has played really well for the Bengals when he has played. In 2022, he had a winning record. And last week, he put up a ton of points against Jacksonville. And I think he could do it again. Like, when you look at, yes, the Vikings should be able to get pressure in moments against a Cincinnati offensive line that is fairly flawed, okay? But the mismatches on the wide receiver front are ridiculous. Like, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, Jake Browning does a great job of just getting the ball out and getting it to the perimeter and working those mismatches. And maybe even better than Burrow, he just doesn't hold the ball. And that might be what really triggers this offense to start to get things going. It also feels like to me that Zach Taylor just coaches better when he doesn't have Joe Burrow because he knows he has to. So he adds more layers to the offense. He adds more yak to the offense. He adds more screens to the offense. Just easy stuff, right? So I think Chase and Higgins both can feast against this secondary, which they're just not that good in Minnesota. They have a good front seven, but they're also without their best linebacker, Blake Cashman. Van Ginkel's still beat up. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure they're as good of a defense as they were last year. And on the other side, there could be some returning players for the Vikings, like their left tackle, Christian Darrisaw. That's one to pay attention to. Maybe you want to wait until the injury report is final when you bet this, because I don't think the number's really going to move. Jordan Mason's looked good in the backfield, and I think he could have a breakout game against the Bengals in this one. I also feel like J.J. McCarthy, right? Like, is J.J. even any good? Is he a starting caliber quarterback? Like, do we know that Carson Wentz is objectively worse than J.J. McCarthy, who has looked terrible? Like, 7 out of 8 quarters of his NFL career? It's Justin Jefferson versus Jamar Chase. 2 buddies that want to prove it to each other. It's like a lot of skill talent in this game for a 41.5 being played in a dome between 2 offensive coaches in Zach Taylor and Kevin O'Connell. Like, I have respect for Brian Flores, but the Bengals defense still stinks. They don't have Shamar Stewart, who's out. Again, offensive coaches, yeah, backup quarterbacks, but Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, 41.5? Give me the over. I don't care. 23-20? That's an over to me. Give me the over in Minnesota, Cincinnati. And then our final total is a team total. I'm going to go Cardinals under 21.5 at -110. You could take it at +110 at 20.5, but I prefer getting it under 21. I just feel like that's a better number overall. And I don't mind, laying a little bit. So I feel like I really like the Niners defense in this game. I do think the Niners will beat the Cardinals, but if I had a little bit of hesitancy, it would be with the Niners offense because they do have Mac Jones instead of Brock Purdy. They do have a semi beat up skill position, of course, not even semi. I mean, Kittle's out, Ayuk is still out, right? Like Jennings is beat up, but I think he's going to play. If Jennings is out, I mean, you might just take the under for the game. But I like the Cardinals under because I like the Niners defense. I think the Niners defense right now is flying under the radar. I think they have one of the best tandems at linebacker, fast. Fred Warner, D. Winters, who's really breaking out right now. These young players for the Niners that are relatively unknown are a lot better than people think. Mykel Williams out of Georgia in the first round. Alfred Collins, who's making his way. Bryce Huff, who they traded for from the Eagles, really has added a competent, explosive pass rusher on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. Yetur Gross-Matos has played really, really well as an interior rusher. Seagal, the safety that they got from the Jordan Mason trade at safety, he's fast. I like their corners, Lenore, Stout, a rookie, and then Green. I just feel like they're very well coached under Saleh. They understand, they're fairly a simple defense. They call timely blitzes, but they're very fast, and they play physical, and they play hard. And the Cardinals just don't have a lot to threaten you with. Their run game is the centerpiece of their offense, and so far this year, they've struggled to run the ball against the Saints and the Panthers. I don't really see how the Niners are getting ran all over here. They shut down Kenneth Walker in week 1 and the Seahawks in week 1, and then the Seahawks went to go on and just shred the Steelers on the ground. So I kind of tend to think that the Niners are a good run defense this year. I feel like they've got a really good pass rush. I think Nick Bosa against Jonah Williams is a straight-up mismatch. And I would also say that Marvin Harrison Jr., I know he hasn't been bad this year. I think he's overrated. Like, he's not explosive. I think that the Niners can take care of him. It's really only Trey McBride that gives anyone problems with this passing game. Kyler Murray, the Niners have faced him many times. Yeah, he can make plays with his legs. Yeah, he can extend plays outside the pocket. But this is a fast, young 49er defense that I think can corral him in space and contain him. So I just think the Niners, if they have a shot of winning this game, which I believe they do, they need to hold the Cardinals to probably 20 or under. And that's probably the key number, right? Like, if they give up 23, 24, 27 points, feels like they're probably going to lose this game. So if you think the Niners are going to win or it's going to be very close, I like under 21.5. And I really do think that Niners defense, especially at home for the first time this year, they're going to be revved up, baby. Saleh's going to have them cooking, and he's a man of energy. So yeah, looking forward to that one. I think that will be one that I do actually bet. Okay, let's talk about some player props that I like, guys. And if you're looking for all of my bets this week, again, it's on Patreon. Patreon is the place to go, the place to be. Link in the pinned comment. Also, link in the description. I'll make sure that it's there for you guys. But basically what I do on Patreon is I give out my primetime bets when I have them. I don't always try to force them. I'm not going to just, give out a pick because it's the Thursday night game. But typically I'll let you know, like, do I like this game? Do I not like this game? My level of confidence. Then I'll also send out on Saturdays all of my picks for Sunday, basically every bet that I've made, and I'll list it on confidence. I'll say we have a Mitch Moneymaker pick, which is my best bet. This week it's a teaser, for example. It's 2-0 so far. We're hoping to make that 3-0. And then, we go down the list and I give you my picks, okay? So that's how it works on Patreon. And you can always ask me questions. I'm very open. You just DM me on Patreon. You can jump in the Discord and ask me questions, whatever you want to do. But that's there on Patreon, okay? Now, in terms of the player props, let's start off with a couple that I feel like are fairly square, but I don't see how they don't hit. So first of all, CeeDee Lamb, over 81.5 receiving yards. He has 4 straight 100-yard games dating back to last season. He's got 100 back-to-back games against the Giants and the Eagles, and he probably should have 200 yards against the Eagles, if we're really being honest. And the Bears are without their 3 of their 4 starting corners. So Tyreek Stevenson is playing, but he's bad. He's been one of the worst corners in football this year. Outside of him, Kyler Gordon, very underrated nickel, out. Lamb likes to play from the slot a lot. Jalen Johnson, one of the best corners in football, out for the year. And I believe Jalen Jones is the other. He is also out. So they are missing 3 of their 4 top cornerbacks in this game. CeeDee Lamb is going to have 100 yards, and it's only at 81.5. So I just don't know how the Bears defend him. I saw St. Brown get open continuously over the middle of the field. I could see Lamb doing the very same thing, okay? Bijan Robinson, we talked about his success against Carolina. If we like the over, we might as well also play the over on Bijan rushing yards. He had 95 yards and 170 yards last year against this team, the Carolina Panthers. His prop is at 80.5. So remember, 90 and 195 and 170 last year. He also had a huge game against Minnesota last week with over 20 carries. Travis Etienne had 8.9 yards per carry in week 1 against Carolina for 143 yards. Week 2, James Conner got shut down. So just putting that in your mind. But at only 80.5, I think Bijan right now is breaking out to not just being a good, great running back, like a top 5 guy, but he's looking like he could be like offensive player of the year, fantasy pick of the year type of guy. He looks that good to me, so I'm willing to bet on him every week of the year. I think he's going to go over 80.5 here against a bad run defense of Carolina in a game where the Falcons are 5.5 point favorites, and they should be in the lead, which means more rushing attempts. Okay, my guy Drake May. This is plus money right now. You can get Drake May over 1.5 touchdowns, passing touchdowns at plus 110. Sam Darnold had 2 against the Steelers last week on the road. And Justin Fields had 3 total touchdowns with 2 rushing and 1 passing in week 1. I don't expect Drake to have 2 rushing touchdowns. He might have 1. I mean, he definitely can. He did last week. But Drake has thrown a touchdown in every single game of his NFL career so far. Like, that's not a fake stat. He has thrown a touchdown in every single game of his NFL career that he has finished. So he's at least going to have 1. And I do believe this totals at 44.5. I do expect fairly good weather in New England. Pittsburgh's secondary, Joey Porter Jr. is out. Deshaun Elliott's out. Just saying. And Alex Highsmith, their pass rusher, out as well. I think New England's going to score 24 to 28 points. I would expect that. So I'd expect 3 touchdowns at the least from the Patriots. Maybe one of them is a rushing touchdown by Ramondre Stevenson, but Drake May might throw 2. I could see Hunter Henry scoring here too against this team. You know, I just really feel like tight ends always go off against the Steelers with the Patriots. You know, maybe that's the Gronk bias, but I feel like Drake May, he's just a really good bet right now because I just feel like he's really underrated. Like, I'm just going to ride the Drake May train until we lose, basically. And then the final one I found was really interesting is Brock Bowers over 53.5 yards against Washington. I know that Brock Bowers is beat up, but 53.5 yards for arguably the best receiving tight end in the NFL against a team that allowed 6 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown to Tucker Kraft last week. That just feels way too low. Washington also plays a lot of man coverage. And sure, maybe they look to double Brock Bowers a lot, but if he's one-on-one, like, who's covering him on Washington? It's not like they have Derwin James like the Chargers do. Will Harris is going to cover him? Bobby Wagner? Yeah, forget about it. Like, Brock Bowers is going to shred these guys if that's the case. So no slot corner can cover him. They're not big enough. I just feel like Brock Bowers, if he's not even on the injury report from what I understand. So he should be healthier this week. I think he has a bounce back week. I think he has at least 60 yards. So 53.5 just feels low to me for a player as good and talented as Brock Bowers. I don't mind betting on Bijan, Brock Bowers, CeeDee Lamb, and Drake May. Those are 4 guys I think are very good at football. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Gronk, spike the like button if you want to see this video every week. I could maybe make it I like it on Saturday, but potentially on Friday. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. We're still feeling this new channel out and the process and what sticks and what works. It's all about what performs from your perspective and what you enjoy. So that's what I'm willing to discuss with you guys in the comments. But again, check out Patreon. Thanks for watching. It's Mitch, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace. Good luck, guys.